Welcome. My name is Abel Sanchez. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at Node.js. Node.js is without a doubt one of the fastest growing technologies in the market today. And if you look at all the major cloud vendors, if you look at Google, if you look at Amazon, if you look at Microsoft's Azure, all of them have implementations of Node. And so this is without a doubt one of the most important technologies at the moment. In fact, some of the latest products by some of the big players, such as Microsoft's Visual Studio Code, such as GitHub's Electron platform and Atom, all of them had Node.js underlying those products. So what is it? Believe it or not, Node.js is the virtual machine interpreter of JavaScript within the browser. The open source version of the Google Chrome has this VM as well as the commercial version, and it has been abstracted out and made into a separate product. And the reasons this is useful is that many of the applications that you want to write really need direct access to the system they're running on. They are hindered by this sandboxing plus everything else that the browser is doing, rendering and other things. So it turns out to be a very powerful abstraction, and I can show you here the model of computation that V8 has packaged into Node.js. And as you can see there, it operates very much in the same way that the browser does. It has an event loop. So, what you can think of here is that when you click on the browser computation, it's not stopped, it is thrown into a callback. And in previous lessons within this series, we have looked at callbacks in detail. In this case, you can think of a callback as being something expensive computationally, so accessing the file system, accessing a database, or simply computation that takes a long time. The reason non-blocking is important is you can think of it, if we take an example of real life, imagine if you go to a restaurant and you have 3 people in front of you, and you'd have to wait for each of those persons to be seated, to be served, to eat their food, to pay their check before the next one could be seated. And so obviously that wouldn't make any sense. And if you think about a restaurant, people are being served without blocking each other, right? So this is very much the same idea. Anything that's going to take a long time to compute, you simply set it aside. When it is done, it comes back into the main loop. Others have made the example also to a mail carrier where all the requests that are coming in are the letters that need to be delivered as he goes through his loop or through his route. So this is simply some abstractions, some high-level ideas of what Node is. It turns out to be very good for building utilities, for building web servers, for building application servers, and as I mentioned, it is becoming also the foundation for a new platform of applications or a new type of applications. The other thing to note as well is that just like in the browser, you can write it in JavaScript, so that new generation, which is very big and continues to grow, of JavaScript programmers can now program not just in the browser but also on the server. So let's go ahead and move to a number of examples here. We're going to install Node.js, then we're going to run a few basic samples in this first lesson. Open up your browser and navigate to nodejs.org. And download the installer that is relevant to your machine that you're going to be working on. And this is you have installers for Mac, you have installers for Linux, you have installers for Windows. In this case, I'm going to be using the Windows version. Also install the recommended version for most users, and as you can see, there's a pretty fast download, assuming you have good bandwidth where you're at. Go ahead and open that up. And I'm going to go ahead and click cancel because I've already installed Node on this system. Once you're done installing, go ahead and open up your start menu. Within there you will find a Node.js command prompt. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up now. So you can see there it has the window says Node.js command prompt across the top. What this does is it makes all the right, it loads all the right paths so that you have Node.js within your path. So in order test whether your Node installation has been successful, you can type Node at the command prompt, and if you get there the little angle bracket, that means Node is up and running. You can use it very much the same way you use the console within the browser. In this case, I'm simply going to make an addition. You can see there that that is executed. We can also write code. The command line here, I'm going to go ahead and write a simple function to say hello. Then I'm simply going to write to the console. And we'll say hello world. Then we're going to close our function. And just like on the console, you get that undefined back. Now if we run that function, we should get hello world at the prompt. And you can see there that we did. Now in order to exit, you can do .exit, as I will do here. Or you can do Control-C, as you can see there. Now let's go ahead and load a file at the command prompt, at the command line. So let's go ahead and open up an editor and write the same code we just did within the command line window. So I'm going to say, I'm going to enter function, say hello. Within it, I'm going to say hello world once more. And then at the end, I will invoke that function. I'm going to go ahead and save that file. Oops, clicked on the wrong button there. And now when we go back to the console, I have saved this to the desktop, so I'm going to navigate to the desktop, just simply to show you that the file is there, hello world. I'm going to write node, then the name of the file, and you can see that we get hello world back at the console. Now as the last example, let's take a look at something that demonstrates the non-blocking model of Node.js. We'll write a timeout. To it we will pass a callback function. Within this function we will write to the console. Now because this will be non-blocking, meaning it will execute after the code that follows it, this will be the world part of it. We're going to write hello world to the console once more. And we'll set that timeout to execute 2 seconds from when that instruction is found or is executed. Below it, let's write to the console the first part of the hello world. So as you can see there, even though hello is on line 5, it will execute before lines 1 through 3. And that is because that part is blocking, it's waiting, so it gets put to the side. So if we go back to our model, it gets registered as a callback, and when that operation completes, it comes back. However, console log, since that part is ready to go, can go ahead and execute. So when we run this at the console, we should see hello followed by world 2 seconds later. Let's go ahead and save. Let's go ahead and show you that the file is there, and in fact it is. Go ahead and enter the name, hello non-blocking. And so you can see there we get hello, and then 2 seconds later we get world. So that is the basic introduction into Node.js, literally the hello world of Node.js. As an exercise, I'll ask you to write a few programs to test the non-blocking nature of the programming model. Make sure you write some set timeouts. You could, for example, nest more set timeouts inside of the function itself try to write numbers 1 through 5, say 5 different blocks of code, and see how those execute on the console. Make sure you get a good understanding of how this non-blocking model works, because we will leverage it as we go forward. So with that, I'll wish you happy coding and goodbye.